Hi, and welcome to the 7th episode of GVST Wellness, the podcast. This episode is called Married with Wellness. I am Kelly Zalewski. I'm a somatic mental health therapist. I do individual sessions. I have a small group program called Somatic Healing for Burnout, and I do community events and workshops with my husband and partner in life, Tom.
Hello, everybody. I am Tom, and I've been doing some of this stuff for a few years now and slowly been getting more and more involved with running groups and workshops. On a regular basis, I work for the local community college, Macomb Community College, and I'm also a swim coach and dabble in a lot of different things.
So you can find all of our events, my individual sessions, and more information about what I do at Oasis Wellbeing on Instagram and Facebook, or at oasiswellbeing.com. So let's get into it. I first heard about GVST when Pam reached out to me when we were at our larger location because she was looking for space to rent for her tribe meeting. And I believe it was 2021 or 2022. I don't remember exactly. So since then, Pam and I have kind of been just communicating and overlapping in things that we're doing, and just kept talking about doing some events at GVST. And then in November, Tom and I did our first intro to breathwork and sound ceremony at GVST, and it was amazing. So we've been doing about monthly events since then, and we're hoping to just continue that and grow our offers with somatic practices and active meditations and breathwork ceremonies.
Yeah, so we've been running one class a month, which has been great with having my busy work schedule and other things that I do. And recently I have just started up a men's community group at GVST, hoping to grow that and start getting a lot more of the men in the area involved with a lot more of this healing and holistic approaches to life and somatic work and all the things that have helped me out in the past.
So I absolutely love the community and the variety of classes and workshops that are offered at GVST. It's one of the things that kind of draws me to GVST, and I just feel like there's something for everyone. So that's part of the reason why we really like offering events there, because it is just such a variety of different events from everything from plants to Kundalini yoga with Jessica, which I love, and breathwork with us and astrology and tarot. I love having that variety and that just different offers for different people and different interests.
It does bring a lot of people together, really trying to involve a lot of the community with any aspect. I haven't been to as many classes as Kelly has, but just being involved with certain different events there from time to time and things like that. And with Pam offering up some of her space to even bring in some of my stuff that I'm trying to bring in, and other things that we've tried to bring into the space, has been absolutely fantastic, and we're so appreciative.
Yeah. So what will we be doing in the future at GVST? More breathwork, more somatic events. Right now, our goal for this year and kind of looking into the future is just continuing to grow the community and continuing to help people to get introduced to breathwork and slowly start to offer more events and more ceremonies, slightly different formats. I would really like to in the future offer like a half day or a full day event that is more of like a retreat style that involves a little bit more in-depth stuff, some intention setting, and some additional kind of movement work, and in addition to breath work and sound. So that's kind of on the horizon. And would absolutely love to do an outdoor event. So we're kind of looking for space and something that would work for that for the warmer months, just involving nature in the process, which is really fun.
So as I just started my men's community group, it's growing slowly, but we're getting there. I would like to have intentions of bringing in a bunch of men to do this type of work and stuff, not even just for purposes of coming together and meditating, but even just getting together, maybe doing some outside stuff. We're going for a walk in the park or just get-togethers, or even just creating that safe space where men can come and be around other men that have like-minded ideals, and hopefully getting us out of our shells.
Yeah. So what would someone coming to a men's group expect to happen there?
As for right now, I normally lead a small meditation. I try to keep it as free-flowing as possible. Just trying to give people a little bit of ideas about a little bit of breath work, a little bit of body movement. We did a body scan meditation for the first session that we had, which was kind of nice. But also just getting to know different guys that are going to be there. Bringing them together and just seeing what it's all about, seeing what they have to bring to the table. I'm not looking at making this into some sort of group that I'm just leading. I want everybody to be involved and feel part of the community, and everybody brings different things to the table, so giving everybody the ability to show what they like to do when it comes to meditation or mindfulness or any type of healing work that they try to do.
Yeah. So really giving people an opportunity to experience different things, but also giving people an opportunity and giving men an opportunity to show up and practice or share what they do or what's been important to them.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just, a lot of men don't feel like they can do that stuff safely, or there isn't anybody else out there that likes to do that. And just putting myself out there to try to lead the way.
Right. Calling them in, bringing in the men to a place where it's like they can't share that stuff.
Yep.
Amazing. What would you say is like the thing that's been the most impactful for you in attending other men's groups that you've attended?
Honestly, it's just the community aspect of it. Knowing that there's a bunch of guys out there that I can communicate with and chat with if need be, even if it's just hey, having a bad day today. It doesn't have to be anything more than that. It doesn't need to be anything that's driven by certain events or workshops, or just creating that space where guys can come together and find that community, find those the people in the area that they are looking to connect with. And I know they're out there. Just trying to find them and get in touch with them is that's the hard part, is trying to get the guys out of their shells a little bit and just putting themselves out there. So yeah, it's been some of the stuff that I've done with the men's community group has been great. I've done a lot of stuff on the west side of the state, which I have a bunch of good friends out there now and stuff like that, but trying to bring this over to the east side of the state just a little bit more would be very helpful for myself as one, and hopefully help out a lot of other men out there that are looking to find something they're looking for, find something that they're longing for to come together. Because in a lot of times it's, yoga is looked at as a woman's thing, and we have this persona in our society that a lot of the stuff in healing work and body movement stuff is a female-based thing, and that's not necessarily true. We're all human beings, and we all need to do the same things from time to time.
Yeah, amazing. It's really been an amazing experience to see you embrace this in a way of you felt it to be such a powerful thing for you. and yet wanting it to build it here in our community. And it's kind of the same thing as the breath work. It's like we both found breath work and somatic work to be so incredibly powerful and healing, and you kind of found that with men's work and like the community and the groups that you were attending, just to be such a powerful thing for you. And now to see you bringing that into our community and putting your own spin on it, and like creating that community here where we live instead of always having to travel to have that community. And it's been a really interesting kind of process to watch.
Yeah, it's been fun. Can't be pushed too fast, but I'll get there eventually. But besides that, you're bringing some interesting stuff to the community as well with your somatic sessions for burnout and all the stuff that's helped you.
Yeah.
So how do you feel you have been able to progress through some of the challenges in bringing things that have helped you or things that you've needed to work on a little bit into the front?
Yeah. So as a therapist and as like my traditional training as a mental health therapist and as a clinical social worker, I really struggled with this like box of like what I was supposed to do or what it was supposed to look like as a therapist or what I had to do as a therapist. And yet I found so much healing for myself, and I could see it in other people with somatic work. And it was like I would get to a certain point with my clients that it was like, I just kept finding myself saying, like, there's got to be another way. There's got to be more. Like, this can't be the only option. There's, like, something missing here. And it took me a long time to kind of figure out how to allow myself to look outside of that box and kind of blend those two worlds together. And it really, my journey with that started with yoga. And not just yoga, but also I met Jessica Smigels, who does Kundalini yoga at GVST, and was doing classes and workshops that she was doing. And I just found that the mantra and the breath portion and the meditation portion combined with the movement to be so powerful for me. It sent me on this path of like looking for not only that for myself, but also for other people. And it's like from that point, then I did my yoga teacher training, and that like deepened that desire to find a way to blend those two worlds together. And I wasn't quite sure what that was going to look like yet. And then I did 2 years of the Vitalist School through the Vitalist Institute out of Grand Rapids. And that was a 9-month-long program, all surrounded around somatics and breath work and bioenergetics. And it was just such a profound experience for me. It just shifted my perspective in a way of understanding like the nervous system and how it responds, how it builds patterns, understanding my own patterns and understanding how to be able to see those patterns in other people. And it was like my work just shifted in like 180 degrees. And I just totally started looking at things from this like nervous system, polyvagal theory type perspective. And when I was looking at things from that perspective, I was able to see how important it was to work with the body and how important it was to help blend those things together. And from that point, then it was like more breathwork training and somatic experiencing. And now IFS, which is internal family systems and parts work. I started that training in February. And it's been this like blending of these two worlds together in this way of recognizing that when I help people to understand the patterns of their nervous system, and when I help them to understand the signals and the language of their body, that it is so much more impactful, that they're able to understand, my thoughts and this thought pattern is from this fight response or from this flight response. And helping them to be able to identify those pieces, then they can help to learn to shift out of the pattern and learn to shift their nervous system. And the somatic practices and the breath work and all of these things, the sound and movement, help people to be able to shift from their nervous system from one pattern back to a state of regulation. And that work has been so profound in individual sessions. And then I found that, like, okay, people did it in this individual session, but they needed something in between sessions to help them, like almost like an at-home practice to follow. And really that also came from like, I needed that, but yet I couldn't find the program that I needed. So I literally built it. And that's where Somatic Healing for Burnout, my small group program, that's where it came from, was out of this place of creating a program that could support people at home. So it has a video component that's recorded that people can follow along to help them learn to integrate the practices into their daily life. Yeah.
So as we're talking about somatics, just so everybody kind of has a idea of what we're talking about when it comes to somatic work is somatics means of the body relating to or affecting the body. We use different types of movement, breath, sound, vibrations, bringing intentional awareness to the body in whatever way it needs to show up. By doing this, you can have a different bunch of emotional responses. You could have traumas come up, stress come up. This could be things get stuck in the body. You might have constant pain or chronic pain, and you don't know what it's from. Medical research shows that there's not anything going on that they can figure out. Well, it's more energetic and your body's holding on to things in a certain way. And that's how it's reacting to circumstances that might have passed through you at some point in your life, and your body holds on to that tension.
Yeah. So the somatic practices, it's really involving the body in some sort of way, right? And bringing intentional awareness to the body with whatever we're doing, whether it's movement or breath or sound or vibration or some combination thereof. And it's really a way to help your system learn to regulate. But it's not always about being in a state of regulation. And I think that that's something that's like a common misconception of like, oh, do somatic practices so that I'm regulated. It's like, no, that's not exactly the intent. The intent is to do the somatic practices so that you can weather the storm of life, I guess I want to say, so that you can like
pay attention to the cues of your
yeah.
body.
Yeah. Notice when you're dysregulated. And notice why you're dysregulated or what has happened that has caused you to be dysregulated, and actually be able to feel those things and manage those things without like being stuck in the dysregulation, and then being able to shift and move. So the somatic practices are all designed to help you manage life and manage dysregulation more effectively and not get like stuck in the trauma.
All of the ebbs and flows that come through with life.
Yeah.
We're in a constant state of flux. You have the expansion and contraction of everything in life, and this is part of the process, is learning it, paying attention to it, and being able to shift from one to the other. It's been completely life-changing for me in a lot of ways. I actually use somatic practices in the morning. I do feel a lot better when I wake up in the morning and move around a little bit. This could be some bioenergetics. It could be some light stretching, even a little dance party in the morning when I wake up. Hopefully I don't play the music too loud to wake somebody else up in the house.
Never.
But just getting my body moving for the day seems to help out a lot of my stuck energy, any type of chronic pains, back pain, soreness, knee pains, like just being curious about what's going on and what's happening in those spaces. And I look at it as more of like an active meditation. When you're involving the breath and the breathing into something like that, and but you're still moving around. Like meditation doesn't need to be you sitting still in silence for a long period of time. There's a bunch of different ways that you can get into your body, focus on your breath while you're doing other things, and that's going to help in different ways. Not that I don't like waking up in the morning and staring off into space for a good half hour and just zoning out for a bit and doing that type of meditation, which does happen from time to time. But the body movement has been, it's great. I do feel so much different over the course of the day when I do it. Kind of wakes up your body a little bit. I would think that a lot of people probably use their exercise or workout routine in the morning to kind of do the exact same thing. It's just a different avenue of paying attention.
Yeah, absolutely. I find that my somatic practices I don't always tend to do something the same time every day because that just doesn't work for me. So my somatic practices sometimes are in between client sessions to like shift the energy for myself, to just check in with my own body after I've been sitting with a client for a while, and move my own energy a little bit. But definitely I use somatic practices to help me to get out of a stuck state. Because I tend to definitely like drop into that freeze response and get stuck. And so I am very regularly using somatic practices to help get my energy moving. And that helps me to be able to shift into what I need. And so whether that's some sort of breath work or whether that is movement or whether I'm drumming or using sound or humming, they all, or mantra, they all help to really like shift my energy, get it going. And then I'm able to check in because I'm able to then feel, right? Because I'm using those things to be able to help connect and feel into my body. Then I can actually feel what is going on. And from there I can go, oh, I need whatever, fill in the blank. And that is really how somatic practices have become a part of my life and how I continue to use them on a regular basis.
So from there, you mentioned breath work, and this is some of the stuff that we are incorporating with somatic work and our group workshops and stuff that we do at GVST. So maybe we should go into breath work and give a little bit of background about what breath work is.
Right. Okay. So I'll talk about the different types of breath work because there's so many, right? So I like to think of breath work in like two different buckets. And one bucket is a more mindful breath. And that is going to be things like square breathing, things like extended exhale, or even breathing where your inhales and your exhales are even. And those things are to help regulate your nervous system or help to bring you into a state of relaxation. And then there's other types of breath work that are more activating. And this is going to be things like breath of fire from Kundalini, conscious connected breath or circular breath, which is what we often use, or like a lion's breath, right? And those are breaths that are intentionally bringing in more activation. They tend to be a little bit, I don't want to say faster, but a little bit more energy, right? So, and they're all designed to do slightly different things, but they all activate the energy, right? So in most breathwork ceremonies, we're using a conscious connected breath or a circular breath. And that is a breath that is in and out of your mouth. And it is a nice inhale, and then the exhale kind of falls away. But it's circular in the fact that you don't stop. You just continue breathing. And it really, the intent behind it is to connect with your body, but also to connect to the subconscious and kind of create this altered or non-ordinary state of awareness is often what it's called. And in that, you can kind of get out of your mind and get into your body. And by doing that, you can kind of unlock some things that are stuck. So instead of trying to like think through the problem, you're using your breath to drop into your body to unlock. Sometimes there's a release, sometimes there's an awareness, but it's this piece of kind of getting down into your body further and letting your body lead the way through your breath. Yeah, so it's a really profound and powerful experience. Do you want to tell a little bit about how like breathwork how you have found this circular breath to be impactful for you?
Yeah, it kind of goes along with the exact same thing that you were saying, and like certain things just popping in my head as you were talking about this stuff. But the whole idea and premise of getting out of your head, I think as a society, we have a tendency to be so focused on what our brain is telling us to do. That might not necessarily be the best course of action or the thing that you should do or that your body actually needs.
Yeah.
Or even what you really want or desire, because our brain is so connected to external influences, which can deter you from doing things that you really want or things that are good for you. So by using this breath, it really, I guess it's the whole idea of people saying that I can't get out of my head. I can't shut it off. It just won't shut off. Well, by using these practices, you can learn and train yourself to shut a lot of that stuff off. So you can get rest. So you can feel that, you have the ability to do all of this stuff. It's something that I feel has kind of been lost with a lot of just what our constraints are with our community, with our society, with the world.
Yeah.
Like being hyper-focused on so many different things that aren't aligned with what you're doing and what you actually want or your intentions are. So from my perspective, getting out of my head a lot has been fantastic with using breath work. And as we were talking about, there's so many different ways to actually do breath work. It's even doing breathing practices in the morning while you're just sitting there. That's a type of breath work. It's just focusing on the breathing and focusing on the breathing. And eventually you will drop into a state where your brain does shut off.
Yeah.
You feel so rested after you get done with it too.
Yeah. The breathwork ceremonies really are just a different form of meditation in a way. And it helps to incorporate different pieces, right? So we bring in sound and we bring in, we're often drumming or using different instruments or different things to help kind of like help your body to sink in further. And it just is this way of really helping to clear out like old constriction patterns or tension or stress that's in your body. And it really does feel like a relearning or a reclaiming of something that your body has already known and like a wisdom that your body already has. It just hasn't connected to it in a long time, or maybe you were never taught how to connect to it. So it very much feels like that kind of a process. Yeah. So, and I really think that that's why we do, at least I know that's why I like to do the breathwork and sound ceremonies, because I have felt so much personal, just profound shift and change and in those experiences myself. And it just feels so amazing to be able to share that in our community and in the people around us. And, we always finish our breathwork and sound ceremonies with some sort of a sound. I don't want to really call it a sound bath because that's not necessarily true, but there's like some sort of relaxation and that we use sound, and then we're often singing at the end. To really help bring the body down, give some time to relax. And I find that is a time that people just like really drop into relaxation. And it helps with that like expansion and contraction cycle, right? That there's this, you're doing this breath work that is activating, and it helps your nervous system to understand that path of like going and doing something that's activating and then following with something that's restful, so that your system knows like, oh, that's a pathway that I can follow in the future.
Yeah. I would 100% say that the reason that I enjoy doing all of these breathwork workshops and sound ceremonies and stuff like that is, it's kind of the idea that so much of this stuff has been such a profound changing point in my life to learn how to do these things. And instead of running up to a mountain, climbing to the top and yelling and screaming that everybody out there should be doing this because there are so many pathways to healing and you figure out so many things about yourself, this is more of a light invitation for anybody to come out and just give it a try. No pressure at all when it comes to it. Nobody, to speak a little bit more about the events that we run, it's more of a come out, check it out, give it a try. Like you can't do it the wrong way. It's whatever comes up, whatever shows up, that is what your journey is, and that's where you're at. But just having that wherewithal to do all that, I can honestly say as well that if it wasn't for all of this work and stuff like that, our relationship would, it's changed so much over the past few years. I know Kelly mentioned her training at the Vitalist Institute. I also did 2 years of practitioner training at the Vitalist Institute. And if it wasn't for her getting involved with this a couple of years prior to that, I mean, I wouldn't have never had these pathways to do all this stuff. But it intrigued me to see what kind of process that she was on and what kind of journey she was on and things that were happening, changing, transpiring. And that sparked an interest with me to at least say, I don't know what the heck she's doing, so I might as well give this a shot and see what it can do. And ta-da, here I am. But, it's our day-to-day lifestyle has changed so much. Our level of communication with each other, knowing when to kind of give somebody their space, knowing when to be there and support them and hold space for each other. It's really changed so many different day-to-day aspects that I think and I feel have made our relationship so much more connected than it was before. And not to say that, we weren't doing well before, but it's just a whole other level of being together and doing this together and being on this journey together and seeing where it goes. Because if this is just a couple of years worth of taste, if we keep on doing this work, who knows where we're going to end up?
Who knows what comes next? Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that the somatic work and breath work and just all of the different, whether it's trainings or just individual ceremonies or just the different things that we've done over the last, 4 or 5 years? 6 years? I don't know. I think it's been almost 6 years. It has just allowed us, the way that I think about our relationship being different as a result of that is that we are able to have conversations that we would not have been able to have before. And we've been able to speak more clearly about, at least I know I can speak more clearly to what my needs are and what my desires are in our relationship. And I know I can ask for space when I need it, or I can, our communication is so different. And understanding each other's patterns or understanding how we both respond in a way of not picking at each other and like really being able to respect each other's boundaries. And even though I may need something, recognizing that you're not in a space where you can do that, right? And then that not turning into a fight and an argument, and neither of us is taking it personally, and we're able to like work through whatever the situation is. It's not that we don't argue. That happens. Doesn't mean we don't get mad at each other. That happens. But it's the way that we do it is different. It's not from a place of like intentionally or unintentionally like, being mean to each other. It's just so different.
And then on top of it, I do recall a few years ago We're coming up on our 10th anniversary soon. So this might have been right after we got married. But at one point, Kelly looked at me and said, "Wouldn't it be great if we worked together on a regular basis?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure. We can give it a try. I think it'd be great." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Through all of this work and stuff like that, and now us running workshops and everything, I'm looking at it going, "Yeah, I can see myself doing this and us working together on a regular basis when it comes to stuff." I know my intention is to kind of shift towards a lot of this type of work eventually. But as I said, I'm a slow moving type of a person, so the changes don't happen very often.
They don't happen quickly.
Or they don't.
They happen.
They happen.
They just don't happen quickly.
Just not quickly.
Yeah.
But it really is just a different level of communication and a different level of understanding between ourselves. And a lot of that has to stem from us doing the work on ourselves. So any of this breath work, somatic work, stuff like that is healing yourself, going internally and figuring out what you can do to show up as a better person. And by doing that, you have a different perspective on a lot of things in life to help navigate relationships, to help navigate conflict.
Yeah.
All other different things that everybody deals with on a regular basis.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard to describe the difference, like really put it into words, other than to just say, like, I know that our day-to-day, how we talk to each other and how we connect, the words we use are just more intentional. And it feels like it takes less effort. It feels like it comes more naturally.
It feels easier.
Yeah.
It's not a constant struggle.
Yeah. Okay. Switching gears a little bit. Some fun stuff. What is a hard lesson in life that you've learned?
Q&A.
Right?
Trying to siphon out the external input on a day-to-day basis from whatever source it is, to try to figure out what I'm more aligned with and what I really want. Everybody has opinions and stuff like that, but so much of the social conditioning and stuff like that we have doesn't necessarily mean you believe in any of it. And then following that path to what you actually believe in, what's true in your heart. That's kind of been one of the bigger finds that I've had, and I've had to navigate. Not knowing what patterns I was involved in and what I was doing on a regular basis that wasn't aligned with actually how I felt, which caused such a tension inside of myself, trying to figure out how can I get through this? How can I navigate through this? How can I really show up with my authentic being and authentic self? And it's been a really, really challenging road over the last few years to get through there. But I look back at where I was and where I'm at, and it's really made a profound difference in everything. Mm-hmm. Your turn.
My turn? Oh, gosh, I don't remember the question.
A hard lesson you might have learned.
Oh, okay, yeah. The hard lesson I learned is that slowing down leads to growth, right? Like, I was stuck in this pattern of pushing and pushing and pushing in this way of kind of like hustle culture, I guess I would say, of if I just try a little harder, if I just do a little more, when I get this done or when this happens, then fill in the blank would happen, right? And I just was on that like hamster wheel that just did not stop. And all that did was cause burnout, and like I couldn't hear the signals from my body at all because I was so like I was so distracted by all of those thoughts of pushing and got to achieve and got to be productive. And it wasn't until I started doing somatic work and practices for myself and breath work for myself that I could actually feel what was going on in my body. And it was this constant message over and over and over again of slowing down, tuning in, connecting with myself, and getting really clear about how I really wanted to show up in the world and what I really wanted to do. And in the process over the last 5-6 years of slowing down, getting more clear, it is so amazing how things have taken form and taken shape. And it's every single time I take a step back and slow down a little bit more, things get more and more clear, and I'm able to create something that is really, really good and really deep in what I really want to share with the world and how I really want to show up. And really how I take care of myself too. So it's as I do that, as I come back to myself more, there's more that I'm able to give to the world, which is kind of amazing.
Do you have any bit of advice that you would offer any of the listeners?
Oh, gosh.
As to how this could affect their life or their careers or anything else?
Yeah, my bit of advice with somatic work and breath work in general, self-care practices, any of the above, it's not about perfection. It's about showing up for yourself. And sometimes it's not about showing up for yourself in a specific way. It's just about showing up for yourself, right? And when you show up for yourself and you connect to yourself and you listen, it comes through, right? It gets clear. And it's kind of hard to explain that when you're focused outward on all the things around you, you lose yourself. You lose that connection to yourself. And that striving for perfection is this outward thing, your energy's going outward and not inward, right? But when you're just showing up for yourself, if that's the base of what you do on a regular basis, things start to flow. They start to get a little bit easier, right? And it's somatic practices, it's not about doing it the right way. It's about finding the right way for you and for your own body, right? So it's we give kind of general guidelines, but then we say, try it this way, try it that way, modify this way, modify that way, because the right way is going to be different for every person that walks through the door.
The right way is your way.
Yeah, exactly. So it's I guess those are the two things that I would say is it's not about perfection. It's just about showing up for yourself consistently. And that could be just a few minutes a day, right? And then the other part of that is you can't do it wrong, because the right way is your way. And the right way may look different for you. And that's okay. That's actually good. So yeah, those are my pieces of advice. How about you? Any advice to share?
My advice would be anybody that might be thinking about doing any of this type of work or getting involved with it a little bit is don't be deterred at any point. I know for myself, it's been a long, arduous process to get to where I am, and cracking all those layers of my exterior hardened shell to figure out what my feelings were and where I'm at, and having this more of awareness of my body and stuff like that. One thing that kept on surfacing when I was going through the process is, I don't think it's working. I don't think it's working. I don't think it's working. But always continuing to say, oh, maybe it's not working now, but the next time it's going to work, and the next time it's going to work, and the next time it's going to work. And then finally having that epiphany moment of, oh, there it is, and now I got it. And now things are slowly starting to come into place a lot quicker, a lot easier, and stuff like that. So even if it's not a mind-blowing experience the first time you try it, it's still working. There's still things that are working with it and things that need to surface, and they will surface in time, and they will surface in the correct order that they need to surface, so then you can hold yourself in a safe space and a loving space to make sure that anything that you need healed is healed. It all falls into place. But as Kelly was saying, having that practice and continuing with the practice and staying focused on it, and knowing that there is a different way to do a lot of the stuff, a better way, your way, than what you might be indoctrinated to, or you've been trying to use for how many years, and it doesn't seem to be successful.
Yeah. Looking back, can you see how the times that you're like, oh, nothing's really happening, can you look back and see how maybe there was something happening, but you just didn't notice it at the time?
Oh, absolutely. The awareness is so much different now than what it was when I started. It was quite entertaining as I was going through some of these processes to start. I would tell people that I was around at the time that, well, nothing really happened again. And then we'd be in a conversation and they would all start chuckling. I'm like, what? I'm like, do you see how much you just said? Or do you see and realize how much that experience changed you? And you're coming up with these ideas. And I'd have to stop and go, huh, yeah. Apparently I got to pay attention more. And eventually, yeah, you start learning how to pay attention more. But even going back to the idea of a men's community, and even the community that we're trying to bring here with our regular workshops, which anybody is welcome to come to. They're co-ed. It's having those people in that community around you and building that community, so maybe we can all help each other to heal and to get better and to show up and for each other, for ourselves in a better way, because there's a lot of times that we don't pay attention to what we are doing because we're so hyper-focused on so many different things, and it takes somebody else in a safe space, in a safe setting, and in a safe way to turn around and say, do you realize that this is what happened? Oh, yeah. Wow. That's kind of crazy. I never thought about that. And that's been my biggest take on that one, because I was not paying attention to anything when I started doing this work.
So that's the biggest change, is you pay attention?
I pay attention now.
Well, hey, there we go. Yeah. Anything else to share?
No. Thank everybody for their time, if they're listening, and I'm certain there's ways that you could reach out if you want, if you have more questions or anything.
If you have any questions about breath work, somatic practices, anything like that, all of our contact information is on both my social media at Oasis Wellbeing or on my website, which is oasiswellbeing.life. So any of those are options of ways that you can get hold of Tom or I, and our contact information is also available through the GVST Wellness website. When we have events and stuff there, our contact information is listed in that event description. So you can get a hold of us that way too.
I think we just signed on for a couple more breathwork and sound ceremonies. So
yep, yeah. So thanks.
Coming to you soon.
Right, coming to you soon. Thanks for listening about breathwork and somatic work and how it's impacted us and our lives. And we hope to see you at a future event.
Take care of yourself.
Thanks again for listening. Follow or subscribe to get notified when new episodes come out, which will be every 3 weeks. If you're in the area, stop by GVST and check us out. Have a great day and be safe.